Good evening and welcome back to Capitol Tonight, a statewide look at politics. I'm Tim Boyme. It is Thursday, time for our Lawmakers segment, a chance to talk in depth with legislators from around the state. Tonight we're joined by Democrat and State Representative Duane Hall, representing Wake County, and Republican Kelly Hastings, representing Cleveland and Gaston counties in the State House, and a co-chair on finance now. Congratulations on the post.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome back to the program. Good to see you, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, so we're really in session now. No two-week breaks, nothing moving forward. What do you make of the session? Do you think we're going to get off to a quick start, or is there going to be a lot of wait and see?
Well, I think there's just a necessary process that we have to go through, a lot of logistics, and so it's a difficult process. Imagine having 120 members, and they all have to have committee assignments, and somebody has to vet that process to make sure they don't have too many overlapping times for their committees. So it's a pretty daunting task, but I think Speaker Moore and our Rules Chair, David Lewis, I think they've done well.
Speaking of committees, there's some new committees. There's a lot of new chairs and co-chairs. There's a lot of Democrats even that are in vice chairs and do have some co-chairs. What do you make of the process with the new speaker?
Well, I got a vice chair of Judiciary, so I was happy with that. I think the new speaker is going to do a good job of negotiating, especially with the Senate, hopefully better than last time. I think we're off to a quick start. The first bill's already been filed, so we're all ready to go.
Do you feel good, though, as a Democrat, that you're involved in the process so far? I mean, I know it's only day two, really. But.
Day two. Actually, I talked to several Democrats yesterday that liked the way things went on the first day, and they felt we've been listened to. Hope that stays that way.
Got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
All right, so the governor is going to be giving his State of the State next Wednesday. His budget should be out soon. His budget director told us it would be out on February 23rd, so obviously this will be a preview of that. What are you hoping to hear from the governor when he gets up and speaks in front of you guys?
I think any time when you're serving at the state level, there are a few items that really have to be addressed, and I think the people expect it. And obviously education, I would say economic security, and those types of issues are always important to the people. And to me personally, since I've been in politics, the main issues for me have been along those lines: lower taxes, less crime, economic development, and education. So those issues, those broad issues, are always very important.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things you disagree with what the governor says, but what are you hoping to hear?
I agree with some of the issues Kelly brought up. The question is whether it matters. Have you guys left him any power? You've tried to take lots of the executive branch power. So last time we saw even their own party's vetoes overridden, which I felt made the governor somewhat weaker. Hopefully it's job development. I'm hoping that's some of the areas he talks about. Medicaid expansion. I know he met with the president recently to discuss that. I'm hoping that's part of it next week. Next week.
So it'll be interesting to hear that, no question about it. So Democrats have been critical of Republicans already for focusing on what they believe are social issues. Obviously, the bill filed by Senator Berger not requiring magistrates to perform same-sex marriages. There's talk about Representative Stam putting forth his own bill related to that. What do you say to those folks that say the Republicans are focused on social issues already instead of focusing on the economy?
Well, first of all, I wanted to rebut Duane just a little bit. I think it's healthy when we have a separation of powers in this state between the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. It's healthy to disagree on occasion. I don't see that as a negative. In fact, that makes me respect the governor even more, and respect the judicial and the legislative branches. And so, to follow up on your other question, I think it was Medicaid expansion.
No, the magistrate's bill that Senator Berger, and then what Stam is expected to file.
Well, as you know, that brings us to a very important part of our constitutional law. Anytime state action is involved, it brings on a completely different set of analysis. And so the constitutions are there to protect the people from an overreaching government. And so just because a person happens to be a public employee doesn't mean that they give up their First Amendment rights, their freedom of religion, their freedom of speech. But so I just wanted to reiterate, anytime state action is involved in forcing someone to do or not to do something that goes against their constitutional rights that are enshrined in the U.S. Constitution's Bill of Rights, we have to be very careful.
President Hall?
For me, this is deja vu all over again. Tim, if you could hearken back with me briefly to the election of 2012. Campaign cry was jobs, 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 and what we got in the long and short session, in my opinion, was one of the most aggressive social agendas in North Carolina's history. We had repeal of the Racial Justice Act. We had numerous bills to limit reproductive right. We had Amendment 1. We covered it all, race, sex, religion. And fast forward to 2014, again, the campaign cry was jobs. But the absolute first bill out of the gate, in my opinion, legitimizes discrimination. It's something that I know we have deep ideological divides in the Senate and in the House, but regardless of how you feel about gay marriage, this bill is extremely destructive to our judicial system. As an attorney, I took an oath, as do district attorneys, as do judges, as do magistrates, to uphold the law regardless of your religious affiliation. In North Carolina, gay marriage is legal, and it's performed largely by magistrates. They're public servants. And to have public servants deciding which laws they will or will not uphold, in my opinion, is extremely destructive to our judicial system. It does not uphold the rule of law.
Well, there's no question that's going to be a heated debate in and out of committee. Staying with the judicial system, we had Chief Justice in here just a short while ago, and he called basically, I think he said it's basically the stage of 911 with court funding. Obviously, there's a lot of hands out there looking for money with the budget system, but how much on the radar do you think is this court system funding?
I think it's on the radar. Obviously, our Speaker and President Pro Tem, they're officers of the court. And so I think they have a pretty good handle on what's going on in the court system. And if you'll notice, we have, as part of our tax reform, most people know that taxes, fees and fines are not taxes in North Carolina. They're totally different. And so we have reformed some of the fee structure so that the actual people who are committing crimes are paying higher fees and fines. And so those are the types of things that we've tried to do while we're protecting the hard-working taxpayers. So I think it is an important issue, and I have heard Speaker Moore speak about it.
You're an attorney. I mean, is it a crisis?
It's been a crisis for a while now. Court funding has been devastated over the last few sessions. Last session, now Senator, former Speaker Tillis appointed me as one of 4 House members to the Courts Commission. We met last week, and again, we're supposed to meet for a final time next week to make recommendations to the legislature. We don't have an amount yet, but that is one of the areas we're going to recommend as a bill to increase funding. A lot of areas in staff, scientists in the SBI, that's a big area. We've lost so many to other states, to private and federal labs.
Well, there's a lot of needs and a lot of people want money. It'll be an interesting session ahead. In the meantime, gentlemen, great to have you on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.